Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take source materials and turn them into, well, hopefully surprising insights, tailored just for you.
That's the plan.
Today, we're doing something a bit different. It's quite personal, actually. A reflection from a GCT alumnus looking back.
Yeah, it's a real heart-out message, as he puts it. Offers some amazing lessons, I think, about navigating college, career, how things change.
Right, and the source here is excerpts from College Odyssey, From Coimbatore to Global Success. It's a piece by Bargava Subramaniam.
He's a GCT Coimbatore alum mechanical department from the 2002 batch.
And what really sparked this whole reflection is fascinating. It wasn't just random nostalgia.
No, not at all. It was actually triggered by a new opportunity being offered to current GCT grads. And this got him talking on Telegram, actually, in a GCTian startup community group.
With other alumni.
Yeah, specifically Pradeep from the 2008 batch and VC, who is from Bargava's own 2002 batch.
And they started thinking, why didn't we have stuff like this back then?
Exactly. Why didn't those opportunities exist? And, maybe more importantly, why students now absolutely need to grab these chances.
It sounds like it comes from a really genuine place.
Oh, definitely. Bargava's core point seems to be, I really wish someone like me or VC was around back then to show me the ropes.
Makes sense. So our mission today for you listening is to pull out those insights. What can we learn about, say, self-driven learning?
Yeah, and the power of just seeking opportunities, and maybe the lasting impact alumni can have. All through Bargava's pretty honest look back.
Okay, let's dive in then. He starts off by talking about his early college years, and he's quite blunt about it.
He is. Admits he had very few friends compared to later, and flat out says he wasted a lot of time.
Which is relatable, I think, for a lot of people looking back at college.
Definitely. And he gives specifics, like internships. He knew nothing about them. Zero.
No, nothing.
Nope. So while other people might have been doing internships, he spent summers hunting for projects. It sounds proactive, but maybe not very focused.
Funding for projects. Yeah, sounds a bit aimless.
He mentions one specific experience, right? At a pump company.
Yeah, this pump manufacturing place. He spent, what, 2 to 4 weeks there?
Yeah.
Just to get a certificate.
Just ticking a box, basically.
Pretty much. And the irony, he only realized much, much later that Coimbatore is world famous for pumps. A huge industry right under his nose.
Wow. Talk about missed opportunities. What does that tell us?
Well, I think it really highlights that awareness gap, doesn't it? You can be surrounded by potential, by industry leaders, but if you don't have the context or the guidance...
You just don't see it.
Exactly. You just kind of while away time, even when you're trying to do something.
He had another attempt, too, didn't he? With the electricity board?
Yes. Trying to build an app for them. That was facilitated by the wife of one of the EEE professors.
How did that go?
He says it didn't end well. The project itself fizzled out.
Okay.
But, and this is a big but,
yeah,
it was during that project that the professor's wife introduced him to neural networks.
So even in a quote-unquote failure, precisely, a seed was planted. Fast forward a couple of decades, and neural networks, AI,
right,
that's the field he becomes, as he puts it, reasonably known in India for.
That's incredible. A failed app project leads to a career-defining interest.
Shows you never know where those crucial inputs will come from, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Then there was his final year internship at SAIL, the Salem steel plant.
Right. His main memories seem to be the very cheap factory lunch, 5 rupees.
Can't beat that.
And apparently having lots of time to just roam the plant. Oh, and getting his final year project done super early, like a full 12 months before graduation.
Efficient, at least.
Yeah.
But maybe not transformative in the same way that neural network idea was.
Seems that way. But it leads to another key point he makes about that time. By third year, he'd actually taught himself quite a bit.
Like what?
C++, Java, Oracle, both SQL and PL SQL.
Okay, serious stuff for back then.
Yeah, and he says he was reasonably good at DSA too, data structures and algorithms, foundational programming skills.
And the kicker is?
It was all self-study, all of it.
Wow, so he had the skills.
He knew how to build things, like hobby projects, he calls them. But the crucial gap, the thing he admits took years to bridge,
was knowing how to apply it to real problems.
Exactly. Knowing the tools versus knowing how to use them effectively in a real-world context, that's a big hurdle for self-learners sometimes.
Yeah, I can see that. He mentions placement prep, too, using George Summers for logic puzzles.
Right. He found the more famous Shankuthala Devi stuff easy and boring and, I guess, stupid, his words.
Draw a bit.
But his prep worked. He got placed in Cognizant, And that was actually a bit unusual then.
How so?
Cognizant was one of the first big IT companies to recruit from non-circuit branches like mechanical at GCT. Usually they just focused on CS, ECE, EE.
Interesting. So the lines were already starting to blur a bit, even then.
Seems like it. But then comes the real turning point in his story. A bit of serendipity.
Okay.
In his second year, he says he got lucky. He was introduced to an immediate senior, a woman in E named Lalitha from the 2001 batch.
And she made a big impact.
Huge. He calls her an amazing mentor, a great inspiration, says she really pushed him quite a bit to get into paper presentation.
Paper presentations.
Yeah.
Like academic papers.
Yeah, he explains they were quite in vogue in early 2000s. The usual way was, you'd apply to present within your own department's field, but at other colleges.
Okay.
Submit an abstract. If they like it, you go present.
So Lalitha encouraged him to do this.
She did, and he says this connection, this mentorship, caused a break in his thought process.
How so? What changed?
He had this realization, why should I wait for someone to give me projects when I can do it myself?
The shift from passive to active.
Yeah.
From waiting to creating.
Exactly. It's that aha moment sparked by a mentor. He even says he wishes he could find her today to thank her again.
That's powerful. So he decides to do these paper presentations. But there was a snag, right?
Yeah.
He didn't actually like his own field.
Right. He says he hated mechanical engineering, found it horrible the way it was taught, and saw terrible work prospects.
Ouch. That's pretty strong language about your own major.
It is. Interestingly, he adds a little note that he only really appreciated the depth of mech, the math, the physics, the coding involved much later after going to the U.S.
So in college, he's stuck in a major he dislikes, but he's got these self-taught computer skills he does like.
Precisely. So he thinks, why follow the norm? Why submit papers related to mechanical engineering?
He decided to aim for CS departments instead, even as a mechanical student.
That's exactly what he did. He figured, I know this stuff, I like this stuff, let's just try sending papers to the CS departments of other colleges.
That takes some guts, I think, to just ignore the expected path like that.
It really does. It goes against the grain. But it led him to a core lesson he emphasizes.
Which is?
If you don't ask, the answer is always no. If you ask, maybe there is a yes somewhere. Just ask. Put yourself out there.
Love that. Simple, but profound. So did it work? Did the CS departments accept papers from a mechanical student?
Did it ever? He says he pretty much got selected into every place he applied.
No way. Where?
We're talking top places. IIT Madras, College of Engineering Guindy, which he calls the best college by far back in my days, REC Trichy, now NIT Trichy, REC Calicut.
Wow. All in computer science.
All in the CS departments, and not just selected. He was often winning first or second prize at these presentations.
A mechanical student winning CS paper contests at IITs and RECs.
Mm-hmm.
That's quite something.
It really is. And this success led him to another big realization, this one about GCT students in general.
Okay.
He concluded, GCTians lack exposure. He says, it was true in 2002, it is true in 2025. That's a direct quote.
That's a bold statement, lack of exposure.
But he immediately follows it up. He says, the talent difference between the top colleges and us was negligible.
Okay. So it's not about ability, it's about opportunity. Awareness, seeing what's possible.
That seems to be exactly his point. He even says he'd bet that at least a dozen people from his own batch could have topped those other top colleges if they'd gotten in.
And he thinks that's still true now.
He does. Which, he adds, is why he's now hiring in troves from GCT. He sees the raw talent, maybe just needs that exposure boost.
That's a fantastic insight. Talent is everywhere, but exposure isn't always evenly distributed.
Right. And recognizing that exposure gap not as a talent gap, that seems key to his motivation for giving back now.
So these paper presentations, they were obviously confidence boosters, exposure builders. Did they help with anything else? Like getting into grad school?
Absolutely. He mentions they played a role when he applied for his master's in the U.S., especially because, remember, this was pre-social media, pre-easy networking.
Right. No LinkedIn profile to point to back then. How hard was it to get noticed internationally without all that?
Incredibly hard, I'd imagine. You needed something tangible to show initiative, something beyond just grades. These CS paper wins from a mechanical student that probably stood out.
It must have. Because he then says he was lucky to get a full scholarship for master's from a top university.
Yeah, and get this. He didn't even realize how prestigious the university was until he actually got to the U.S.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
He landed a full ride to a top school without even knowing it was top tier.
That's what he says. It just highlights that information gap again, doesn't it? What he knew versus the reality outside his immediate context.
Definitely. Does he give any context for how big a deal that scholarship was?
He does. He mentions his roommates in the U.S. were toppers from IIT Bombay and IIT Kharagpur.
Okay, top students from top Indian schools.
Right. And his close friends included IIT Madras alumni. One guy even had a perfect GRE score.
Wow. So high-achieving peers.
Extremely. And here's the kicker. None of them initially got scholarships. Even for PhD programs, it took them like 6 to 12 months after starting their programs to secure funding.
But Bargava, from a non-circuit branch of GCT, got a full master's scholarship straight away.
Straight away, full scholarship. It really puts his initiative, those paper presentations, maybe just sheer luck too, into perspective. It was remarkable.
Absolutely remarkable. So he clearly found his path eventually. He mentions being lucky to find a career he loves.
Yeah, he says he was extremely lucky to stumble upon a career that I love. He references something called his starfish story, but doesn't detail it in this excerpt.
Okay. But the sense is one of real fulfillment.
Definitely. And that feeling, that sense of having found his way, maybe after some struggle and anxiety, that brings him back to the beginning, back to GCT.
Back to why he shared this story in the first place.
Exactly. He says, and this seems to be the heart of it, I really wish someone like VC or me was there back when I was studying to show me the path.
To maybe make it a bit easier.
Less uncertain.
Yeah. He thinks maybe it would have made him less anxious and more successful sooner.
Yeah.
And that desire, that wish for his younger self.
Fuels his desire to give back now.
Precisely. It leads straight to his final line in this reflection. But here's to giving it back to GCT, bridging that exposure gap he talks about.
Wow. What a journey. From feeling lost and wasting time, to teaching himself vital skills, to finding a mentor, daring to ask, getting unexpected recognition, and now wanting to provide that guidance for others. It's a great narrative, and the takeaways seem really clear.
Yeah, definitely. For you listening, think about it. That single mentor, Lalitha, has she changed everything for him?
The sheer power of just asking, stepping outside the lines, sending those papers to CS departments.
Recognizing the talent is one thing, but exposure awareness, that can be the real game changer.
And finally, the importance of alumni looking back and, extending a hand, giving back.
Absolutely. So whether you're a student right now wondering how to navigate things, or maybe you're further along reflecting on your own path.
Bargava's story really hits home. It's about taking initiative, right? Looking beyond what's right in front of you, what you're supposed to do.
It really is. Which leads us to our final thought for you to chew on today.
Okay.
Drawing inspiration from Bargava's journey, his self-discovery, his drive, his commitment now to giving back, how can any of us, wherever we are, proactively work to bridge our own exposure gaps? How can we create our own yes moments, even when the traditional doors seem closed or the pathways aren't obvious?